But basketball, I could have played somewhere if I had wanted to.
Can you dunk?
I could dunk, yeah. I was kind of the LeBron of my little league.
NFL quarterback Joe Burrow claims that he could have played basketball if he focused on that instead of football. He even goes as far as saying if he was put into an NBA game right now, he could get you 12 to 15 points. Now, do I actually think he could play in the NBA? Yes. I'm kidding, absolutely not, but Joe might not be. Although the NBA question is crazy, he did have an incredibly good season for a dude that was on his way to the NFL as a quarterback. He went to Athens High School in Ohio, and while throwing for over 11,000 yards and 157 touchdowns throughout his football career, he also played basketball in the offseason. He was the starting varsity point guard as a freshman, and says at one point he really thought about quitting football and focusing on basketball. He played all 4 years on varsity and actually put up really good numbers throughout his entire career. I can't find stats for his freshman year, but he averaged 16 points and over 6 rebounds a game his sophomore and junior year. Then in his senior year, he took a real step, averaging 19.3 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and almost 2 steals a game. Basketball also runs in his blood. If you didn't know this, Joe Burrow's grandmother was a female Wilt Chamberlain. I'm not kidding when I say this either. Joe Burrow's grandmother averaged 50 points a game in high school in the 1940s. And in one of those games, she scored 82 points by herself. You can fact check this. He wasn't the most athletic player, but he could definitely get the job done, and it only makes sense the star quarterback is playing point guard. As a senior, he was 6'3", 220 pounds, and even in some of these pictures, he did have some real muscle on him, so I'm starting to see the LeBron comparison. He was the main distributor while also being the main scorer. Even some of his teammates actually said they thought he could have gone to the NBA. On top of his football resume, he was the 82nd best player in Ohio for basketball. He's also got an extremely good looking shot. It's literally beef. He's got that Kyle Korver jump shot. And once a shooter, always a shooter. Joe still has that jump shot to this day and even was able to show it off in front of everybody in college.
He's on a roll. Oh, everything's falling. Everything is falling right now.
I'm not gonna say he didn't play much competition with there being such little actual game footage of him playing, but I'm just saying I'm not seeing any Zion Williamsons or anybody like that. And he admits he didn't play the best competition either, but again, you play who's in front of you. And if Burrow committed all of his time to basketball instead of football, then maybe he would have been the LeBron of more than just Southeast Ohio. Even with basketball being his second sport, he still earned first team All-Ohio and scored 1,426 points throughout his career. It's a big deal when a varsity basketball player that dedicates his entire life to the sport scores over 1,000 points in a career, and Joe Burrow did that not even really caring about it. He wasn't just the best player on his team though, he was the best player on one of the best teams. During his junior and senior year, his team didn't lose a single league game. They also won sectional and league titles 3 out of the 4 years he was there. Athens even won their first district title since 1965. His head coach at the time even said this in 2019. I think he was definitely tracking toward a mid-major to high-major type of basketball player. It would have taken the kind of focus and kind of work that he put in year-round for football to make that happen, but he was definitely on track. And honestly, I completely agree. We know he has the work ethic, and the dude averaged 20 points a game while it being his second sport. He was committed to Ohio State for football and still playing basketball. We also can't forget to talk about his inspiration for basketball either. No, not that inspiration. This inspiration. Before I show you this video, I just want to warn you, and I'm not exactly sure why, but this video hits odd levels of cringe. I'm not sure if it's the camera height or the fact that it low-key sounds like Joey B's trying to seduce me, but thank God this man can ball out on a football field.
Did you watch USA-Australia basketball yesterday?
I watched some of it. I saw Kyrie's shot. I know that.
You rooting for America or were you rooting for Delhi?
I was rooting for Delhi to score 40
Okay. Is he your favorite player?
in the world. He hustles, gets on the floor. My kind of guy.
Is that
Burrow grew up in Ohio, and if you lived in Ohio during the second LeBron era in Cleveland, you would understand. He worked so hard in the 2015 finals that he went to the hospital after the game because he was so dehydrated. And Joey B was the hustler on the court like Matthew Dellavedova. Yes, he was completely trolling, but the fact that he really repped Delhi during that era is actually awesome coming from another Delhi supporter. Obviously, this Joe Burrow cannot play in the NBA, but if he did focus all of his time into basketball instead of football, then you never really know. He definitely could have played in college if it was his main sport though. The NBA needs to bring in Joe Burrow for the celebrity game or something. That, or since he's a LeBron fan, the Lakers could use another shooter. But I don't know, I think he's happy doing the whole football and going to Super Bowls thing, so we'll see.